In this video, you will learn how to create quizzes in Desire2Learn. To create a quiz, go to Content. Go to the module where you want the quiz to be. Click the Upload Create button. Select New Quiz. Give the quiz a name. Click the Publish button to save the quiz and make it visible to students. If you aren't ready to make it visible to students, click the Save as Draft button. To set up the rest of the quiz, click the Quiz Setup button. You can organize your quizzes in categories if you'd like. To add a new category, click the Add Category link. To add questions to your quiz, click the Add Edit Questions button. You can either create the questions using the New button, selecting the appropriate question type and filling out the form, or you can copy them from your question library using the Import button. Then select the Source Collection drop-down and choose Question Library. Then click the Source Section drop-down and choose the appropriate section. The questions in that section will appear at the bottom of the page. You can then either select the questions individually or select the entire section at once. Click the Save button to add the selected questions. You will now see that section added to the quiz. If you're done adding questions, click the Done Editing Questions button. You can choose to have a certain number of questions per page, and you can also choose to not allow students to go to a previous page. And you'll see the questions listed below those options. There are places for a description, introduction, and page header and footers. If you need to add any of those things, click the link to expand the appropriate area and fill them out. Be sure to review the optional advanced properties and set them to fit your needs. You can either scroll back to the top of the page or click the Save button. The Save button will save your settings and return you to the top of the page, and clicking another tab at the top of the page will also save your settings. Click the Restrictions tab. When creating the quiz, if you clicked the Publish button, your quiz will be active. This means students can see the quiz. If you clicked Save as Draft, your quiz will be inactive. This means students can't see the quiz. You have to set this setting to active when you're ready for the students to see the quiz, regardless of the date settings you set. You can set what dates the students can start and stop taking the quiz and whether to show those dates in the course calendar by checking the appropriate boxes. If you require students to use the Respondus Lockdown browser, you'll need to set those options in the Quiz Manager, found in the Assessment menu under Quizzes, after you've set up the rest of the quiz. Next, set the timing options for the quiz. If you want the time to be enforced, choose the Enforce a Time Limit option. And set the time limit to the appropriate amount of time for your quiz. You have to enter a grace period of at least 1 minute. This is the amount of time the user has after the time expires to submit the quiz before a late flag is added. Now you need to choose what you want to have happen when the time limit and grace period are up. The first option allows students to continue working on the quiz, but will flag their submissions as late. The second option will not allow students to answer any more questions or to change any of their answers. The third option will automatically give the students a 0 if they go over all the time limits plus an amount of time you specify when you select that option. This special access area is where you can allow students different time limits or dates to take the quiz. It is also where you can specify that the quiz is only viewable by selected students. Click the Save button to return to the top. Click the Assessment tab. Select the Automatic Grade option if you want the student's attempt to be marked as graded as soon as they click the Submit button. This is required if you want to allow students to review their attempts. We will cover the grade item setting when we learn about the gradebook. You can set the number of attempts allowed and which score the system should take. Click the Save button to return to the top. Click the Submission Views tab. Submission views are what the student sees when they are done taking the quiz. The students always will see the default view after each attempt, but you can set up additional views based on the attempt they are on or release a view at a later date. To set up the default submission view, click the default view link. You can edit the message the student sees. You can also decide if they're allowed to see the questions, if they got them right or wrong, what they answered, the correct answer, and their total score. If you don't want them to see all of that, keep the No option selected. You're able to only allow them to see their score by keeping the Score option checked. You can allow them to see the class average and score distribution. When you're done, click the Save button. To add an additional view, click the Add Additional View button. Give the view a name. You can add a message for this view also. You can choose when the view will be available to the students, so you can provide them with the correct answers after the test closes if you would like. If you want the quiz to only be viewable for a certain amount of time after the student submits, check the Limited Duration option. This should only be used if you allow the review to happen immediately after the quiz is taken. Notice the word states that it's limited to a certain amount of time after the quiz is submitted. Enter the number of minutes you want the student to be able to see the submission. So, if the student submits at 12:15 and you set the duration to 10 minutes, they will not be able to see the review after 12:25. You have all the same settings as you did in the default view. And when you're done, click the Save button. Your additional view will be added under the Add Additional View button. To delete a view, check the box next to it and click the Trash Can button. On the Reports tab, you can set up reports for you and others to view. Most of these reports can be found in the Statistics area of the quiz, and the Reports tab is not often used. See Help for more information. You are now done setting up the quiz. Click the Save and Close button. To preview how the quiz will look to students, click the Preview button. The Bypass Restrictions checkbox is what will allow you to take the quiz even if it is not currently open to students. If you uncheck that box, you will be able to ensure the current restrictions on the quiz are working properly. Make sure all your notes and settings look right. If you click the Start Quiz button, you can take the quiz. The OK button to continue. The Content area is not the only place you can see quizzes you create. If you go to the Assessments menu and choose Quizzes, you will see a list of all the quizzes in the course. Students can also access this area. You can edit and create quizzes from this area also. If you create a quiz in the quiz list, you will need to then add that quiz to the Content area. Click on Content. Go to the module where you want the quiz to be. Click the Existing Activities button and choose Quizzes. The quiz will then appear at the bottom of the module. Those are the basics of creating a quiz in Desire2Learn.